Welcome to Better Futures.
I suppose just in terms of the conversation we've been having for the past few minutes, can you derive from that conversation for me whatever elevator pitch for a better future for humanity and human well-being you might have based on the circumstances we've been talking about?
Yeah, easy. Imagine if it were the case that the internet was a public space. We did have a town square. On Facebook, you have the marketplace and everything, but it is with the lack of an in-person marketplace like that, you're brought that content via Facebook and they have the right to remove it. Now, you shouldn't be beholden to a corporation for our expression in a public space. We should be under the thumb of any corporation in that. And I think it can get far worse than it currently is if we don't do this.
Does seem that way to me.
And shout out to Jimmy Dore, man, because he's heading up the movement. The People's Party is a new third party.
Oh.
It's a populist movement. They're trying to do healthcare reform. They want all the policies that general public agree on. Legalize recreational marijuana, $15 minimum wage. It's not actually that, because obviously we need to tie it to inflation. Otherwise, the value of your $15 minimum wage is going to be deflated over the years.
Yes, inflation is also something we should be expecting given the past year or so.
By definition, shouldn't the government be a populist movement already? Like, when did it become not that? You know?
One of those questions that is so obvious that it seems like, my God, is this the first time anyone has ever said that before?
It's almost like we should be a movement for the people, like we the people of the United States or something. No. What about them oligarchs though? We're gonna give them some fucking write-offs.
Somehow, yes, the emphasis seems to have shifted.
It used to be different, man. It just like in FDR's time, people would show up and rally at the Capitol and say, hey, this is what we need. We need unemployment. We need policies. We need overtime. You need to regulate these guys. Otherwise, they're going to keep giving us less than $1 an hour. So he didn't do that as his own idea. He was scared that the people were going to not overthrow him, but undermine his authority and say that obviously he's not for the people if he doesn't do what the people want. Now we just need to hold politicians to account where if they say something and they don't do it, typically these days we just go, well, that's politicians for you. Par for the course. Why would we expect them to actually do what they say if they campaign on Medicare for all and they don't end up getting it done? Well, it's probably just because of the political system, not because of a lack of effort on their part, which I would argue, no, it's more of a lack of effort on their part because their objective was to get into power. And once they are in power, they don't give a fuck what you think.
I think that's a really great broad overview or brief assessment of the political situation. I don't mean to use too aggressive sounding of language, but they seem to have less fear now than they did in the past of what might happen if they did not fulfill the will of the people.
Right. Well, and that's because we don't do public action like we did, because we're so disconnected. We're not going to organize for a general strike. We're not going to organize for a protest against the government. What's the point? Everybody feels so disillusioned as a single person, and they don't realize that we are a society, because the individualism that's been propagated in America has been ingrained in all of us since we were a child. We don't view us as a community or a bunch of individuals that don't come together.
Yes, I'm very, very sympathetic to your assessment. That does lead me to another question. Getting back to your proposal for the internet to be not just public utilities space, but also to be a republic of letters guaranteed by the republic.
Yep.
Could you just imagine, 2 or 3 different benefits that might result in terms of human well-being from the social or political or economic or cultural change that such an evolution of the internet would mean?
So, you know how it feels to walk through a town and not see any public spaces? or even a neighborhood, right? To navigate an area where there isn't somewhere that you can just be with no expectations. That's what the internet should be. Nobody should be expecting you to be a customer. And that's what it's become, because there is nowhere you can go on the internet practically that does not have ads embedded in it. And it has become so capitalized, sold, bought and sold. They're selling your attention. And it'd be like a walk in the park where you didn't have to see an advertisement for the newest Samsung phone every corner you turn on the internet. And you shouldn't, because that is the design that corporations have settled on. It is intentional for you to experience light projected at your face that has advertisements on it. If you were to explain this to people generations ago, they might get a little bit disgusted that in order to see your friends on your communication device, you're going to have to view an ad at one every 4 posts. They might have a problem with that. Since it gradually occurred, we just didn't notice. We didn't notice this happen.
Gosh, I'm just trying to make the jump back and forth between my grandmother and my own perception. Yeah, if a friend of mine were telling me about the beautiful flowers that she saw in the park and showing me photographs of them, and if every 3rd or 4th photograph were an advertisement, and the ability of my grandmother, whomever, to show me these photos depended on the presence of those advertisements. Oh gosh, yeah, I don't want to go too much further because I don't know exactly how to phrase it yet.
Sure. It is a very tough thing to nail down how disillusioned we have become. And it's almost as if we're so thankful to have this technology that we're willing to go through anything in order to get it. But we stand on the shoulders of giants. So do they. So do Facebook and Google and all these different corporations that feel like they owe nothing to the general population.
True. The general population could flick it off of that giant shoulder, or otherwise demand that it do a few things to earn its spot there.
Right. And also, you remember how they used to have public service announcements? Hey, for the good of the people, we're going to come out with something that says, hey, don't leave your trash can overnight. We're having a raccoon problem in the city. In that same way, you could have all sorts of different public actions that say, hey, if you want some advice on taking care of your car or how to handle plastic, well, unless you're selling something, unless that is good for a capitalist, they're not going to host it. If I want to come out there and tell you, hey, everybody, I don't know if you realize this, but you can go into a gas station and it has a soda fountain and you can get soda with a bottle and put it in there and it's going to save you money. Or you can buy a bottle of soda that's going to cost way more and contribute plastic waste to our environment. Why do we have this redundant system where you got soda fountains and then that same exact soda being sold in bottles, and then they even make it worse. They sell bottles at the gas station. Like, buy a bottle that you could reuse forever, fill it up with soda, and then check out. But that's not what we want. We want a throwaway society. Well, we don't want that. Coca-Cola wants that.
That is what they have found to be the most profitable in the current circumstances.
Yeah, not selling soda, but selling containers, single-use ones. At that, it's disgusting to me. It doesn't make any sense, and it hurts our environment. You can only put so much plastic in it, and we could have gone too far already. We won't know.
Gosh, I don't want to bum you out any further, but you are reminding me that as of last year, the total mass of human created objects in the world exceeded biomass in the world.
Yeah. And you won't find me as a sky is falling type of guy, but I want to say that we can learn and grow. We've overcome big things in the past as a society and human race, and maybe we needed things to get this bad in order to understand our power. We can fuck things up real bad. It is 100% our responsibility to be a caretaker for the planet, because we're not going to get a new Earth.
I 100% agree, and there is a kind of comfort in knowing, like, well, hey, if we had the power to fuck it up this bad, then we've got a hell of a lot of power, so we can at least try to fix it.
Yeah, and when we fucked it up this bad, it wasn't the decision of everybody to do it. It was a decision of a few people. if we were able to collectively tap into the power that we have as a society and say there was a public action committee and it was like, all right, guys, anybody who's not doing anything today, let's go clean up the beach. Simple as that. You could clean the beach in a day if you had 2,000 people doing it. The problem is that nobody's coming out with that idea in a way that reaches 2,000 people effectively, because you might end up reaching, hey, 1 million people, but it was the next day.